Good evening, guys, it's your boy Sly Geordie and welcome back to F123 My Team career mode for the Belgian Grand Prix at Spa. And if you missed the last episode, it was the British Grand Prix, and what a weird episode that was. Probably one of my greatest drives ever, pitting early in a race that started full wet for Inters and overtaking the entire grid to come away with the win. So it seems as though the weather changed like almost halfway through the Grand Prix to suit the Inters a lot more, and obviously the Inters versus the full wets are OP. Who else really pitted? We were the only ones who pitted in that entire Grand Prix, and we came out on top. So yeah, we now go into this Belgian Grand Prix, which is going to serve as sort of an indicator on whether or not I should probably heighten the difficulty. Obviously the grid, as you can tell in the R&D chart, is really close, so that's how we're able to be fighting for this title. But I think it's getting a little too easy and perhaps a little too predictable for those of you watching these episodes. So we're going to see what happens here in the Belgian Grand Prix, and then by the end of the episode we'll decide on whether or not we'll be changing the difficulty. But as always, our R&D development is doing really well. Our development of the STR02 obviously is going well. We're obviously going to focus more on Lance Stroll's focus as well. Things are going really well for the team. Lance Stroll, of course, is now frequently appearing in Q2, so that's amazing. I do hope to get his experience and his pace, especially his pace, up a bit more. The awareness, we'd want to get that up as well. But a 95 rated Lance Stroll in our car is kind of the best we could hope for currently. We'll probably keep him for Season 3 as well. Obviously, our main objective for this career mode is not only to win the Drivers' Championship, which could happen this season, but also win the Constructors, which I still think is a season or two out. So, yeah, we'll have to see. But we've got a few of these little R&D events which are really cool. I like these ones where you don't exactly know the outcome of it. But obviously when it comes to, you know, whether or not to focus on the driver, I'm always going to focus on the second driver. I really want the second driver to get as good as possible. But the aerodynamics are getting a few upgrades going into this one. I think we also had a ICE durability upgrade. So yeah, we got a few upgrades going into this sprint weekend at Spa. And yeah, looks like it's going to be raining in the race. So yeah, I think is that a total like opposite to what we got last season? Or I think we had rain in qualifying for Spa in Season 1, and then the sprint and the actual race were actually fine. I don't remember properly, but it's interesting. It's interesting this weekend. It's going to be. There's a chance we might even get rain in the quali as well. I don't know. But yeah, we're further improving. Of course, Williams are still improving as well. We've actually both overtaken Alfa Romeo and AlphaTauri. We're leaving them in the dust. Haas have completely fallen off. They were, I think they were in the top 4 developed cars, and obviously they're not going to get enough R&D points with Liam Lawson and Kevin Magnussen, I think, are the drivers, right? For Haas. I don't know. I don't really pay attention to them, but all I know is that I am now noticing that Haas have completely fallen off. Aston Martin still have a really good car, but George Russell is the only one really carrying that team to consistent points. Théo Pourchaire, he's like upper midfield, but he's not getting into the top 10 consistently enough. But yeah, here we are. So this is going to be a bit different. Obviously, in terms of the British Grand Prix, we made the mistake of not really capitalising on the fact that it was going to be a rainy race. And yeah, if we'd have stayed on the wets in the British Grand Prix, it would have been a complete disaster of a strategy, because we just didn't change the setup. We didn't account for the fact that it was going to be raining. I am not making that mistake here at Spa, because I feel like it's going to be even more of a dire situation, especially since it's a lot easier to overtake here at Spa with this massive long straight. So yeah, we've added 5 to the rear wing especially, and I think we added 5 to the front wing as well. So we are a bit slower going into this qualifying than we would be if the race was dry, but I feel a lot safer now that we've accounted for it, and honestly, it helps the car feel a lot better, because with more downforce, the car gets through the corners a lot easier, so, you know, we'll be benefiting through some of these corners, but losing a little bit of speed, so I guess we'll have to see what happens. Of course, you have to bring the AI into the equation. They will probably be fixing their setups, preparing for the race as well, so yeah, we'll have to see what happens, but I'm feeling pretty good with the car as usual. The only tracks where I haven't really felt good with the car was probably Jeddah, and that was it. Yeah, I'd say Jeddah was probably the only one where I didn't really feel that confident with the car. And if you're still watching at this point in the video, I'm going to give you a little bit of a reward now. We do actually end up tuning up the difficulty at the end of this episode. Now, whether or not that still means we finish P1, you'll have to find out, but yeah, our usual difficulty throughout this series has been 85, and I'm really proud of myself for how much better I've actually gotten at the F1 game, because now we've moved it up to 90, but I'm actually capable of playing on 95, so it might not even stay at 90 for long. I think we will keep it at 90 for the rest of the season, but quite possibly turn it up to 95 for Season 3. We'll have to see. But yeah, I decided to stay out after our original lap because I figured out that Lance Stroll was actually out behind us, going on to his push lap. So I thought I may as well give him a bit of slipstream for his lap. And then on lap 4 I actually ended up going again because I felt like with track evolution we may as well go for another one, since we have the ERS and everything, and we actually do improve. So yeah, I must have not had the greatest lap for the first lap, because like these are what, 4 lap old tires. So yeah, very strange. But this is our final lap here. We actually don't end up beating Carlos Sainz. Carlos Sainz is actually marginally quicker than us, but Lance Stroll comfortably, well, if the standings are anything to go by, comfortably makes it in, but it is really close. Of course, again, Liam Lawson in the Haas isn't just not doing well, but he is actually, to be fair, compared to his teammate, he actually is. That's strange. But yeah, Haas once again eliminated, which is such a crying shame, because that car genuinely was good enough at the beginning of the season to comfortably make it into Q3 on its own, like. But it just Haas just do not have the drivers to do that. So yeah, it's unfortunate. But I did get a little bit of a slipstream from Lance Stroll originally on this straight here, and we do actually end up setting the fastest lap, very close to breaking into the 141s. Sainz does manage to top us again in that original lap anyway, but for the second lap of Q2 we beat Carlos Sainz out for that pole position for qualifying 2, of course. So yeah, pretty good there. And of course Lance Stroll will not make it to Q3, but he isn't last, and he actually does, he surprises me. He actually beats Théo Pourchaire in the Aston Martin. Now, Stroll versus Pourchaire on its own, overall wise, yeah, you'd expect Stroll to beat Pourchaire, but Pourchaire's in one of the best cars on the grid. That Aston Martin is amazing. But yeah, the Aston Martin's just not doing well, and I think maybe that might be because they're accounting for the race conditions. I don't know, but Russell only just made it through to Q3, and Pourchaire was beaten out by Stroll, so that was good. And Stroll is now consistently beating people that I you know, really need him to. He's beating the Williams cars now, so both Williams cars. So that's great. He's beating the Alfa Romeos, and he's even beaten the Haas. You know, he's beaten the Haas. He's easily beaten the Alfa Tauris. But I wouldn't say easily. Yuki Tsunoda is really dragging that Alfa Tauri into places where it really shouldn't be. And then Nick de Vries always somehow ends up capitalising on a safety car. But yeah, things are looking good for the STR. Of course, Season 3 might actually be our first season where we can comfortably go after the Constructors' Championship. I am really not against playing second driver to Lance Stroll if he has the pace in races. So if we can just get him up there, then that would be great, because oh my god, can you imagine our second driver going for wins and us defending those positions? You know, once we win this Drivers' Championship, which I really hope we do, I'm just not really going to care about winning multiple, because I feel like, yeah, it's obvious that we could, but after winning the Drivers' Championship for the first time, I think our main objective has to be going for that Constructors. That's what we want to do. That's the aim of the game. That's the aim of my team. We want to win the championship for the team. And so, in future seasons, if Stroll can get up to winning positions, then we'll play the team game easily. So, yeah, here we go. Our one and only lap of Q3. A bit of a messy lap, to be quite honest. And as a result, we didn't even. We forgot to actually, we were really late to the DRS, and as a result, as you can tell, we actually take second place. Not that far off of Sainz at all, which is why I was having suspicions that maybe our difficulty, it's time to move it up now, you know? For the majority of this season, it was fine, but, yeah, it's now getting to the point where now that AI engine where it seems to be taking a toll on a lot of these drivers, and it's not for us right now, we're starting to find it a lot easier, and I don't really like that. I still want it to be kind of close. So what we'll do at the end of this episode, we'll turn the difficulty up by 5, and then we'll see what happens in the Singapore Grand Prix, which I'm excited about. We didn't do very well at Singapore last season, but that was also on the old layout as well, in the rain. So I'm quite curious to see how it's going to go next episode with the new layout as well. So that's going to be really cool. That basically got my title ready as well, since it'll be our first time going around the new iteration of Singapore. But yeah, without further ado, with these upgrades, our next upgrades being made, I think it's about time to go to the grid for the sprint.
Welcome to today's sprint. This is shaping up to be another fantastic weekend. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's sprint. It's Carlos Sainz in pole position. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Leclerc, Perez, Gasly, Verstappen, Hamilton, Ocon, Russell, Bottas, Oscar Piastri, Norris, Stroll, Teo Porcher, Hulkenberg, Albon, Liam Lawson, Tsunoda, Joe, De Vries, Magnussen and Logan Sargent. And with preparations almost complete, let's head trackside for today's sprint.
Well, here we are, and I think it's quite obvious what our strategy is going to be. It's clearly going to be the softs. It's only 5 laps around Spa, so yeah, we're going to go for the softs and we're going to push as hard as possible. And here we go, going up to 5 red lights. We start in P2 just behind Carlos Sainz, and it's lights out, and away we go for our first laps around Spa this weekend for the races anyway. And Sainz didn't have the greatest start. He's going to squeeze us out here, but we are going to be using our energy, using ERS to get past him, and we have taken P1. But we're going to be in a bit of trouble here as Sainz is going to get an insane amount of slipstream, and so even with burning our ERS, of course, Sainz is going to be using his as well, and he is going to overtake us quite comfortably going in to the end, towards the end of Sector 1. Perez and Verstappen are right behind us. Verstappen seems to have fallen off a little bit due to engine wear, and maybe due to lack of confidence as well, especially after what happened in Canada. So, yeah, it seems as though Sainz is going to be our true competitor for these P1 positions, and he just can't seem to beat us. Throughout this season, we have managed to come out on top against Carlos Sainz in every race apart from Jeddah. So, yeah, Sainz is obviously getting a bit frustrated, so he's going to be looking to finally beat us here at Spa. Of course, we're starting to run away with the championship a little bit now. I think we have like a 40 odd point lead. So, yeah. Bit troubling for the rest of the grid, the rest of the title competitors. It was close up until halfway through the season, but now, yeah, we seem to be getting a bit comfortable. Even if we score no points this weekend, we're still going to be in first place. So, yeah, we're going to dive down the inside, though. Sainz defends well, but we're going to switch back him, and that was beautiful. That was absolutely beautiful, and we actually also set the fastest lap with a 1:45.6, which is obviously going to be beaten for this second lap. But yeah, pretty good start for us. Of course, we were behind Sainz a little bit, but now we're starting to pull away quite a bit, which is why I feel like turning up the difficulty might be the better option. But you never know. We haven't changed our difficulty since you know, the beginning of the season, and you know, obviously we've had a lot of competition, so it might just come down to AI engineer, which is why it might help to turn up the difficulty for the next few races to make it a bit more competitive. And then, yeah, definitely turn up to 95 at some point. But yeah, Sainz dives down the inside into the bus stop section, and I think we braked a bit too late. We went a bit wide, and we even got challenged by Sergio Perez right behind us. So yeah, we're going to be in a bit of trouble. Pierre Gasly sets the fastest lap, so I feel like we definitely would have set a faster lap had we not gone wide at the bus stop chicane. But DRS is now being enabled as we now chase after Carlos Sainz, and I feel like we could definitely do this as DRS is now engaged, and we're going to use the RS to try and pull up to Carlos Sainz as quickly as possible. We could do it. We're going to go around the outside. He's going to show us the long way, and there you go. That is a beautiful textbook overtake right there. We are back into P1. It's a great back and forth here with Carlos Sainz. I'm not sure who has the faster car. I do feel like it might be Sainz. He is definitely finding it a lot easier to overtake as he now dives down the inside once again. It's a beautiful overtake from Sainz, to be honest, and I do want to give him a lot of space. I want to be really fair towards Carlos, especially since I'm kind of in a comfortable position in the championship now. So yeah, we're going to have a little look down the inside there, but of course Sainz has pulled out a bit too far for us. So once again, we are now going to chase him down Eau Rouge, and yeah, should be looking for this overtake once again. DRS engaged, here we go, getting the slipstream on Sainz. This overtake should be a little bit easier. He's going to show us the inside this time. No ERS needed, however, and even though we are side by side, Sainz is still battling really, really well. So yeah, that was a beautiful defense by the smooth operator right there, and we're going to have to now try again as we go towards the end of lap 4. Here we go. He's going to show us the outside. Can we outbrake him this time? We'll have to find out. Here we go. Very close racing, but there's the squeeze, and we're able to overtake him, going on to the final lap of the Grand Prix. And now basically now we're just going to want to spend our ERS to try and get as far away from Carlos Sainz as possible. So there we go. And yeah, we've almost pulled it to a second already, so I feel like there's no real point in wasting the ERS and causing further engine wear, you know? I think we're now looking quite comfortable for this race. I feel like Sainz might have overspent some of his ERS then, maybe below 10%, where, you know, the effects of it are quite semi-skimmed. So yeah, we seem to be dominating this final lap here. Beautiful couple of corners there. This car feels great around this track. So yeah, for this sprint race, I think we pretty much have 8 points now wrapped up, and we're getting closer and closer to having the championship wrapped up. It might not even go to Abu Dhabi at this rate, we'll have to see. But of course the next race is Singapore, one that I have struggled at in the past. We struggled at it in season 1, like a big time. So we'll see. And we got Qatar after that. And then we got Portimao. So Portimao's completely new. And then yeah, we'll just have to see what happens in Vegas as well. I don't know. Like, the way things are going, we might have the title wrapped up before Abu Dhabi, which would be really cool. I've been thinking if we get the title wrapped up early, then for the last few episodes, since we're not really fighting for anything anymore, then I might live stream some of the episodes, which I feel like could be really cool. For you guys, of course, and for me as well. gets the episodes through quicker. It saves me some editing time. I feel like we should definitely do that. But there you go. We have taken the win in the sprint, and now we look forward to the race. It's going to be big. I am looking forward to it. It's going to be in the rain, but now that we have our setup down, we're not making the same mistake as we did in Britain, and we can't afford to, because I highly doubt pitting for Inters halfway through the race is going to work around Spa. I feel like it only works around Britain because of how many corners it has at Silverstone, but yeah, we'll have to see. But there you go. Now a 68-point gap to Verstappen in the championship.
It's the Belgian Grand Prix, the site of the maiden victory of the Jordan team in 1998. The venue that Michael Schumacher made his debut in Formula One. There is so much history here amongst the beautiful nature. Spa in the rain. It's about the only thing that could make it more challenging and dramatic in this part of the world. We have plenty of heavy braking zones, we have fast corners, we have undulation. It's going to be a challenge at Les Combes, the bus stop chicane, but pretty much everywhere you look out on track. It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. It's the owner-driver then in pole position. A very happy Carlos Sainz will start second. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Perez, Verstappen, Leclerc, Ocon, Gasly, Hamilton, Russell, Norris, Teo Porcher, Stroll, Tsunoda, Bottas, Albon, Liam Lawson, De Vries, Magnussen, Sargent, Hulkenberg, Joe, and Oscar Piastri. Now, it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track. Anthony Davidson is here once again for today's Grand Prix. Let's have a chat about Williams. What do you make of their performance so far this season?
Well, the atmosphere within that team.
I am absolutely sick of hearing about Williams, man. Like, that's got to be a bug. I really don't like how the career mode seems to have just taken an entire step down in terms of presentation. I hate it, and we'll definitely talk about it at a future point. I may have even talked about that last episode, but Lance Stroll, P12. Pretty good for that, but yeah. No pit stops for this race.
Here we go then, the formation lap is underway. There are wet conditions here today. Each driver will no doubt be mindful of the wet surface as they prepare to race around the track. So as all the cars take their positions on the grid, the teams will be hoping their strategies pay off for them in today's race. But the question I'm asking is which teams have got it right and which teams have got it horribly wrong?
Well, I feel like, unlike Silverstone, we haven't got it fully wrong, horribly wrong this time. So, yeah, I'm feeling quite good. There is definitely not going to be any pit stops for this race. And yeah, I feel like we're pretty good in the wet when our setup is, you know, as it should be. Case in point, Monaco for the last 2 seasons. We've looked really good around there in the wet. So, yeah, I'm quite looking forward to this. And I think what will matter the most is engine power. And the Renault engine is actually really improved since last season. So, yeah, things are looking pretty good. Carlos Sainz does start right behind us, so we'll just have to see what happens. The Red Bulls are behind Sainz, Leclerc in 5th. Those are the only guys we've got to worry about as we now get underway for this race. Here we go. Sainz has a slightly better start than us, but yeah, there you go. He's actually now challenging us down the outside, but we're going to give him a little bit of a squeeze going into turn 1 here. Leclerc has actually managed to overtake Verstappen into turn 1. So Verstappen, yeah, definitely a lack of confidence now that he's falling behind in the championship, which don't mind if I do. I'll happily take that. A little bit of a yellow flag behind us is now Carlos Sainz looks to overtake us. There is the Ferrari engine power in action right there. And yeah, oh, bang of tyres there. So Sainz definitely really giving it a go there, but we managed to stay ahead. We managed to stay in front halfway through this first lap, or at least not halfway through, but towards the end of Sector 1. Of course, we're looking pretty good here. The car feels pretty good. I don't feel anywhere near as unstable, or at least understeery, as we did at Silverstone. So yeah, it feels good, and I feel like we could definitely take the win this race. So yeah, 15 laps of Spa coming up, of course, and yeah, our only competitor seems to be Carlos Sainz. So yeah, we'll have to see what happens. Sorry for that. I'm doing that quite a lot in these episodes. It's because I'm actually drinking Pepsi Max as I do the commentary for these videos, so apologies for that. But I mean, if you watch the live streams, you're very used to that anyway. So yeah, if you've got a problem with it, tough. Whatever. But Carlos Sainz is now really challenging us, and yeah, we actually went off track a little bit, and now even Checo is getting down the back of us. But we're really going to dive down the inside there. Very aggressive with Carlos Sainz there, and somehow we don't even make contact. That was a beautiful exchange of overtakes there as we now cross the line just over 2 minutes. So yeah, 30 seconds longer these laps are, so that's a big deal. But now going on to lap 2, and I'm finding a little bit of understeer on this specific corner. We actually get stuck on the curb, and despite the fact that I'd actually managed to build quite a bit of a gap over Sainz for this lap with two purple sectors, Sainz actually manages to catch up. But I think it shows the testament of like AI engine wear, because no one else has managed to catch up. It's just Sainz, so it might literally just be me and Sainz with this engine wear. And wow, it's really getting competitive now. We actually outbraked ourselves and had to go off track, and we rejoined at the side of Sainz, and I don't think Sainz was aggressive enough there. I definitely feel like he could have done better, and he actually fell down the order a little bit, and Sergio Perez caught me napping. Checo catches us napping into the bus stop chicane, and has now taken P1. So yeah, the two Ferraris behind us, Leclerc is right behind us now, so Sainz is definitely falling down just a little bit as we now look to chase down Sergio Perez. He's actually pulling away a little bit though, so good on Checo, but and also have to let go of the throttle a little bit going over that hill. So Checo actually has made a really good comeback here, you know, in this race. So good on him, honestly, as we now look to chase him down, of course. And he's going a bit slow through this section, and I actually see quite a unique opportunity. And he does move out the way a little bit there, which I thought was a bit odd. Maybe I think I felt as though we pushed him out a little bit, so I did let him pass, and Leclerc actually hit our side pod and caused some damage, and I tried to give him a little bit of receipt there, so hopefully I did give him some damage back. But yeah, Leclerc very aggressive there. Bit of an odd exchange. I don't know what happened with Perez there. I did try to let him pass, and Leclerc was over. I think he came out of nowhere. I did not expect him to hit me on the side there. So I was definitely a bit angry with that. But we've fallen down to P3. Yes, the underbody is taking some slight damage. Sainz is right behind us, and wow, that was close to hitting the wall. That was so close to our race ending very prematurely there. So yeah, you definitely have to watch it a little bit in terms of how we're driving. But Sergio Perez is in the lead. Charles Leclerc follows close behind, followed by me, followed by Sainz, and Verstappen is in P5, slowly slipping behind, or quickly slipping behind in the championship standings. So as it stands, we're still pretty comfortable in the lead. Perez and Leclerc, they're not really in the title fight anymore, I don't think. Sainz is pretty close to not being in it neither. So yeah, we'll just have to see what happens. But now we're going to be using our ERS to see if we can overtake Charles Leclerc here. We're going to try our very best. We're in his slipstream, of course, and it looks like we could be able to do it. We're going to move for the overtake. We're going to take the inside here on lap 6, and yes, there is the move completed quite comfortably. And now we set our sights on Sergio Perez, who in the next lap we managed to catch up to. Leclerc has fallen 2.4 seconds behind, and I did push Perez out a little bit there. I felt bad, so we're actually going to let him pass. I feel like That was a bit of an illegal overtake there. So, yeah. Don't ever say I don't play fair with the AI, okay? I do, despite what Leclerc did to me. But yeah, we're going to let Perez back through into P1, and we're going to, once again, chase him down. We have a lot of ERS still left in the tank. It's lap 7. We've still got a few laps to go. I'm feeling quite comfortable with the car. And here we go. We're going to burn off the CRS now. He managed to get in front of us by about half a second. So we're going to chase him down now to see if we can regain P1. But he's managing to keep it quite well despite us using half of our ERS that we had left. So yeah, Sergio Perez doing quite well. We're following as close behind as possible. There's a yellow flag behind us. I wonder what that's about. I don't know. As we now go into turn 1, however, it seems that it's all clear. And so we're going to once again set our sights on chasing down Sergio Perez. Teo Pourchaire in the Aston Martin is out of the session. And it's a red flag! It's a red flag! And so the race is going to restart all over again. We're going to be on fresh wets. Teo Pourchaire in the Aston Martin not looking good. And if Lance Stroll was still pretty close to him, then yeah, I feel like Lance Stroll should be in a really good position by now, right? Unless he's been overtaken quite a lot. I don't know. But yeah, I tried to look on whether or not the inters were available, but looking at the weather charts, it's monsoon rain. And we've only had that in one other race this series, and that was Singapore Season 1. I'm hoping for a dry Singapore race next episode, but here we go. At the restart. And it's lights out, away we go, and we're going to... Wow, what a great start. Overtaking Perez pretty much straight away. And going into turn 1, Sainz, he's back. He's had a great start. The Alpines in the top 5 for a split second there. Ocon's in P4, Gasly's in P6, so the Alpines are having a great race. It's a great race for the Renault-powered engines. I think I actually see Lance Stroll not that far behind. I think he's actually in front of one of the Mercedes if you have a look at the mini now. I really hope that's Stroll. I think he's in front of Hamilton, who is retiring this season. So, very strange events, but Sainz is now looking to challenge us right here. And we're not going to let that happen at all. I'm going to make sure we get as far away from people as possible. And that is exactly what I end up doing. As we go on to lap 14, we just seem to have left the rest of the grid in the dust. And that is why we're going to be turning our difficulty up. 5.5 seconds away from the rest of the grid. Yeah, it's definitely time to turn this difficulty up. But, hey, I've got really nothing to commentate on the rest of this lap. So, you can either skip to the end of the race, or you can enjoy the aesthetics of this final lap around wet Spa.
Okay, we've only got 1 lap of fuel remaining.
race then, and a magnificent victory here at the Belgian Grand Prix. Tell me, Ant, how do you think they were able to deliver such an incredible result today?
Well, keeping their tyre temperatures up in the tricky wet conditions was really important. There's not much grip out there at the best of times, and it's 10 times worse if you're out there on cold tyres. So the way they kept the rubber in its proper operating window was a huge advantage today.
Well, what a thrilling end to an incredible Grand Prix weekend. Our top 3 finishers should be incredibly happy with what they were able to achieve out there today.
Well, it turned out to be one of the easiest victories that we've had this season, other than Monaco, I suppose. The AI just don't seem to be that good in the wet, especially if you seem to match them with the setup. So, yeah, definitely upping the difficulty, that is for sure. But yeah, it's a pretty good win for us. Carlos Sainz does finish in second. Ferrari, again, going to be very angry at the fact that they finally produced the championship-winning car, and then here I am. And then, of course, Max Verstappen was there as well. But it's mostly me who's been basically the one who's ruined their season.
So let's have a quick look at
so
how
yeah,
the
Lance
drivers'
Stroll
standards have
finishes
changed.
P14,
Our championship leader
and
not only managed to hold on
yeah,
to
he
the top
actually beat
spot,
some people I
managed
would
to
never have
further
expected him
extend
to
their
beat.
lead.
He beats
Impressive
Oscar
stuff. So let's
Piastri
discuss
in the
that.
race.
Who would you
He's only
say is
just
the
behind
contender
Lewis
for your
Hamilton, so he
driver
was
of the day?
overtaken
It's time to
by
see how
Lewis.
things are shaping up in the
And
Constructors'
Bottas
Championship. It was a
started
tough race for
lower
our
as well.
championship
There's a
leaders who
good
lose ground
chance
at the top
that
of the
Stroll
table.
could have gotten
It's been an
points today,
absolutely
and
wild
he
weekend
only
of
didn't get
Formula One
points
action.
because of
Can't wait to see
the
what's
Mercedes and the McLaren. So honestly, Stroll looked very, very good in the race, and 12th place is the personal best for a second driver for Slide Team Racing. And so that's great. That's honestly incredible. I feel really, really good about that. And I think first points for our second driver could be on the horizon. Will it happen next season? Would be cool if you left your predictions down below in the comments. But I feel like it might not happen until Season 3. But a P12, and that's on merit, because only one driver got eliminated. Only one driver DNF'd. Like, that's good. That's good. And I feel like Stroll's better than Porsche anyway. So that's a P12 on merit, in my opinion. And there you go. We've also probably beaten Verstappen in this rivalry at this point. Stroll did really well. He's going to give us a bit of an acclaim boost. We're now level 21. We're going to get even more money for the team. Of course, more upgrades will be coming in soon. I am so excited. We get almost 1 million in terms of sponsors now. And the only reason we don't is because we still got Echo as a sponsor. I don't really want to let them go. I know we're going to have to, because obviously their objectives are really easy for us now. So yeah, it does suck, because I do kind of see the Echo sponsor as kind of iconic for our car. But yeah, I think it'll be time for a change. But here we go. We're going to have a little bit of an extra section here for this episode, because I feel like it. So we're doing some aerodynamic stuff, and this is what we did at the beginning of the episode. We've actually got some extra driver acclaim now, which is great. And speaking of the Echo sponsorship, there you go. Looks like we are going to be changing it, or looks like we have the opportunity to change it anyway. And I'm now going to driver perks, though, before we do anything there, because I feel like this would definitely be very useful to go towards, especially in terms of the driver acclaim. And I feel like we could definitely put some in terms of the resource point income as well, boosted by 50%, which is great. Lance Stroll's focus is now at 91, which is looking amazing. And now, yeah, we are now going to be looking to add on a new sponsor for the STR02 before we head into the season breaks. So looking at all these, I am going to miss Echo, but the weekly goal of score 1 Constructors' Championship point in a weekend is looking very, very easy now. And so I think it's time we definitely go for something that is a lot more fitting for our performance this season, and would obviously give us a lot more money. So yeah, I am definitely considering quite a few here. We already have 2 pretty good sponsors for this car this season, but I think we might actually end up going with maybe Zur. They seem to be paying pretty well, so Zur might be the option that we go with. Yes. Achieve a podium finish, and they actually do pay a lot more money than Echo does. So, yeah, we're now going to get over $1 million each race that ends up like that did anyway. And so let's just add these onto the sponsor. Let's add these decals onto the car real quick. So, yeah, basically just going to be replacing all the Echo parts. And honestly, it's not the worst sticker in the world neither. It's, you know, it suits the car in my opinion. So, yeah, and honestly, this livery is goated, in my opinion. So, yeah, it's not bad at all. We'll take it. I'm still not sure about putting a sponsor here. We still don't do it. And yeah, everything else is obviously going to stay the same. So, yeah, things are looking really good for Slide Team Racing now going into the season break. So, obviously, we're going to get that underway very, very shortly. But yeah, for this episode, this is pretty much the end of it now. This is how the standings look going into the break. This is how the R&D chart looks after the break. Williams have further improved their car. They're now good enough for the midfield, and Haas have fallen down even more. That is absolutely crazy how far Haas have fallen. They were in the top 4 cars at the beginning of this season, and now they're in the bottom 4. They're going to be bottom 3 when we get even more upgrades in, because now Williams have finally caught up to Haas. We're going to be next, because we've been going back and forth with Williams in the R&D chart, so we're now going to be almost as quick as the Mercedes car. So, yeah. Our team and Williams, of all the teams to join us, I'm glad it's Williams. Yeah, our team and Williams are definitely now catching up. But this is the moment you've been waiting for. This is it. We're now turning up the difficulty to 90. And if needs be, we'll turn it up even more. Anyway, guys, that is the end of this episode of My Team. I'll see you dudes in the next video. Peace.